like I'm trapped in Westworld, is what it feels like. I don't mean the movie with Yul Brynner in it. I mean the TV series with Anthony Hopkins, and at least the first season. And he's talking to his robots, his creation. By the way, Westworld is a complete allegory for God and human creation. It's a total allegory story. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, if you've ever seen it. But it's a complete allegory, if you look at it. And the theory being that if there's a God, then he's let us make man in our image, and to have friends, for the most part. But you really can't have friends if they're not really your friends if they have to obey you and obey every command you give them, right? I mean, really think about that. So, he asks questions of his creations. He talks to them. He has these conversations. And the whole time he realizes that he knows if he starts asking any real penetrating questions, that the bots are going to kind of default. They're going to kind of go back to sort of a default setting, or they're going to go back to their storyline, their plot line, or something like that. So you have to kind of follow along the plot line, as opposed to the plot line creating itself. That's the essence of the story it's trying to tell. And it's what it's like. If I ask any penetrating questions, I don't mean of like people that follow me. I'm talking about like just out in the world, Gen Pop. Because I see this planet as more of a prison. If I wanted to get existentialist about this, I see it's more of a prison than anything else. And I don't complain. I know I see those a lot of the young people complaining. You guys are all complaining like, why do we have to work? Why do we have to do this? And we shouldn't have to do this. We should just be able to sit around and eat grapes all day and procreate. No. I mean, like, working and doing stuff is actually a privilege if you understand it. It really is. That's actually what gives you, some kind of, you find sort of your meaning and purpose that way. And because without that, what you don't like, this is for you guys out there that are complaining about this. It isn't the work that you don't like. It's the results that you're not getting. It's the pointlessness of it. It's the idea of, let's say you wanted to torture somebody. You just give them like a 50-pound bag of rice, and they're going to move it from one side, of your camp to the other. And that's all they're going to do. Just wearing a groove in the dirt, and that's it. It's the pointlessness that bothers you. It isn't the work per se that's the problem. It's the result. Men don't work for money in that sense. They work for the result. They work for what the money will buy. They work for what, a result that they want. That's why you do things like work. It's why you do the things that you don't necessarily want to do, so that you can, then go do the things you want to do. You get the sort of the work out of the way. Well, why do we have to have work? Why can't we just live in the trees? Well, yeah, you can, but you still are going to work. You're going to have to chase a deer down, or whatever protein you're going to eat. You're still going to do that. You're still going to have to tend fields. You're not going to get out of that. That's just not how physics works. But that's really what it's like, and it gets like that more and more every day, and I don't think
in half a mile, like turn right onto Poway Road.
It's not like that, and I'm not saying everybody out there is an NPC, although I would say probably like 60% of the planet probably is. It probably maybe. If this were a simulation, that's where I would probably put that number, but. Part of me wants to believe that, like, no, it's really not that. It's a level of demoralization that didn't exist.
Take the next right onto Poway Road.
There's a movie called Good Fortune. Spoilers. With Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen and Aziz Ansari. And Aziz Ansari is the director of it. And props to Aziz Ansari for trying to merge two really good movies, basically. You know, one of my favorite movies. In fact, actually, probably my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life and Trading Places. Trading Places, because in the 80s, It's a Wonderful Life was, I think, maybe 47. And the movie's essentially a merger of those two movies. And Keanu Reeves plays this angel. And one of the challenges that I've thrown out in the past has been to Hollywood and directors is, can you make a movie set in today's world that doesn't look like a dystopian nightmare? Well, Aziz Ansari, to his credit, he actually did it. He made a movie set in today's world, and it looks like a dystopian nightmare. That's what it looks like. And it's what it looks like not just from the... I mean, it really is, because a lot of people are going through all of that. It's very relatable. It was sold as a comedy, and unfortunately, I don't think that movie would have been a comedy. Trading Places is a comedy because it's artificial, right? It's not... There's no divine intervention. The reason Trading Places is funny is because it's the Duke brothers that have this $1 bet that you have heredity versus environment and just putting, swapping these guys around. So that's what makes it funny, is because that's something that is absurd, but it tells a story, right? But in It's a Wonderful Life, it's a drama. It has funny stuff in it. That's organic to the character and organic to the plot. But it's still a drama. It's still dealing with a very serious problem. And of course, if you've really taken the time to do a deep dive into It's a Wonderful Life, and I would say watch it about 6 or 7 times. I'm not kidding about that. 6 or 7 times. And you'll stop seeing the Christmas movie, and you'll start seeing the economic lesson. Because it's actually teaching you exactly how destructive banking and money printing actually is, if you really understand what you're watching. I could do a shot-for-shot breakdown. It'd probably take me 10 hours to digest that movie for somebody, just to go through and explain it, and explain the history that goes along with some of the lines that are spoken. So, because all of it's lost, it's kind of lost. There's a temporal distance problem. It's lost with especially with nowadays. Kids aren't really taught a lot about this stuff, and they're certainly not taught anything about money. So he merges these two plots. And again, it's set in today's world, and because it was billed as a comedy. The problem is that, and this is the challenge the movie has. It's an okay movie, and I like it. I don't have a problem with it, and it's one of the very few movies that I've gone out of my way to see in the last probably 20 years. Well, it's a lot of the things that happen. They're supposed to be funny. They're not funny to people who have to live with this every day. That's the thing. They're not, a lot of things that happen, it's not comical to us anymore. It's really old. It's really pointless. And all it's doing is making things suck more and more and more. And it's all to keep a handful of people super rich. The sad thing, and this is the saddest thing too, I can say whatever I want now, but the saddest thing is the number of people that are saying, okay, well, socialism or communism is the answer to all of this, not realizing that the outcome there will be the exact same. It will be identical. You won't be forced to work for giant, evil, heartless mega corporations. You'll just be forced to work for giant, evil, heartless governments. Does it really matter in the final analysis? What do you do with people? And what do you do with people like me that don't really like slavery? I don't want to own slaves. I have no interest in slavery, but I also don't want to be one. So what do you do with those people? So many movies made about that. It's always from the slave perspective or something like that. It's never from the perspective of somebody who's like, I don't really like either of these things. There's got to be some other way to do this. It's like I'm trapped